Hi, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Michael Yon, and this episode is on human disease and how it is created. So let's dive right in. Kuntarkis, my first question would have to be, why is human disease so prevalent within human society, and what mainly causes it?
Well, Michael, human disease is a self-created effect solely by human individuals, not by our God or by Mother Nature. Humanity alone is responsible for all diseases on planet Earth. This is a broad statement, and yet it is the total truth. Every human individual, Michael, needs to stop whatever they are doing at this very moment and get out of the fast lane and open their eyes. Look at the world you live in from all sides. Do not place any judgment on your observations. Just become the observer, and you will begin to see the falseness. Only by seeing the falseness that surrounds you in this moment will the truth begin to manifest itself, and you will see things as they truly are. And yes, it can be overwhelming, even terrifying. Planet Earth is in pain. Your forests are dying, your rivers, your oceans are highly polluted. Your air is poisoned. Even your foods are to some degree contaminated. Your human immune system is working on an average at 37% to what it should be. And you have more diseases amongst your species than your planet Earth has ever had in its entire history. Even your scientists are lost in the maze, but would never truly admit it. I believe humanity needs to ask this question: why is this so? The answer is because humanity in its totality has given away their personal responsibility, not just for their well-being, but for how every human individual thinks and what they each believe in. Look around humanity's world and see what human man has and is doing to human man, woman and child. Humanity's wars and inhumane acts are not only placed upon the animal kingdom, but also upon your own species being human beings. When a human being has no respect for themselves, they are incapable of giving, showing any form of respect to others. Take the disease, Michael, called herpes. A little over 38% of the human population has it, with many not even knowing they have. Many of these humans will give it to others freely. Let's look at the disease you call AIDS. It is also shared freely, with some even passing it on, knowingly fully well that they are carrying the deadly virus. How sad is it when a human being is willing to infect another or others to either satisfy their lust for sex or vindictively take out their anger on others because they feel they have been wronged.
Oh, that's a very sad fact, isn't it?
It's very sad.
Knowing that you have a disease, yet you're willing to give it to whoever. Wow, why would anyone do that?
Well, Michael, back on my world, Nakaris, so long ago, we studied our animal kingdom. And what we discovered, the animal kingdom are not vindictive, nor do they have a huge ego. They live to their own rules within nature itself. They don't have what is called thought consciousness, nor do they understand anything about free will. All they understand is self-preservation, where their next meal is coming from, and naturally to procreate their species. All the findings were created into a documentary and presented to the High Council, which in turn presented it to all the council members across the entire planet Nakaris, and eventually to all the Nakarons who also had a say concerning that matter. I believe humanity may also need to study the animal kingdom on Earth in the wild and ask themselves, do they act as humans do? If your answer comes from the heart, it would be no, of course not. One of the greatest problems in the human being is ego. In my species, as an Nakaron, we came to an understanding that ego was the driving force behind all negative creations. And once ego, which is negative emotional experiences based on the past, was dissolved, mind, body, and spirit was brought into balance, and unconditional love for all life became our main objective.
So, if that is the case, Kuntarkis, what part of the human self is creating the problem that causes so much disease?
Disease, Michael, is a physical manifestation created by the human brain's conditioning through the negative emotional experiences that each human being has, from a baby still within their mother's womb, then growing up through childhood into adulthood, and so on. Most human beings bury their hurtful negative emotions. It's like saying, Michael, whatever has been created by the human brain, be positive or negative, and manifested physically, can also be uncreated and physical balance restored. Your mind, on the other hand, is a very powerful tool which is neither positive nor negative. It is an unbiased vehicle for creation in its totality, but it is, however, the human ego behind the mind that decides how the power of that ability to create or uncreate will be used.
So, if we go beyond the negative emotional experiences that can cause disease, as you explained, do we do other things that reinforces the problem that we aren't aware of?
Yes, Michael, absolutely. For example, let's say if a human individual had a sick human body, it most likely would be the result of an unbalanced lifestyle and attitude. It doesn't mean that you are mentally unstable. It means that there are unresolved issues manifesting physically as the result of your personal behavior, such as your life habits, and especially your thoughts in your own life. Thoughts are energy, be it negative or positive. It would be wise to listen to the episode called Genetics that we placed upon the podcast a few weeks ago. Genetic transfer from parent to child does play a very huge part in how a child experiences life into adulthood. What we seem to not talk about in depth is how defects, diseases, are not only within the mother's DNA, but is also passed along within the father's DNA, as too many believe it is only minuscule compared to the mother to be, and that is completely untrue.
Yeah, genetics naturally ties in with human disease, but I always felt that each parent gave a 50-50, so the child had equal amounts of the parent's DNA. So my question to you, Kuntarkis, is that the case or not?
No, Michael, it is not the case. But I must add, yes, in many situations with parents' DNA, it is 50-50%, or 40-60, or from either parent, or 35-65. There is an interesting factor at play within the human species, and it's called karma, as reincarnation also plays a very big factor in the whole process of life after death. It's like saying, if you wish to understand physical life, you also need to understand physical death. At this point, it would also be of great benefit for any listener to take the time and listen to the episode called Life After Death. That is on our current podcast, as it is also tied in with what I am talking about, human disease. Remember what we each think in our thought patterns, and what we each consume, be it negative or positive, will most likely be manifested into our physical reality. We as human beings are in fact a thought-conscious being. In all reality, our thoughts are very powerful. What I have witnessed while I have existed on Mother Earth is beyond explanation. It's like if you keep saying to yourself, I am fat, over and over, you most likely will become fat by adopting a lifestyle and diet which will help you become fat. Thoughts, as I said, are very powerful. They easily influence the entirety of your behavior throughout your life and all your lives to come, meaning reincarnation.
That's an interesting answer, which leads me to ask you, Kuntarkis. So if I pick a disease like cancer, is it hereditary or is it just luck of the draw?
Yes, Michael. In most cases, it is hereditary. And also, I have to say, it can skip several generations and then suddenly come back into play. The reason is broad in giving an exact answer. Then again, it comes down to the following factors that determines who gets it and who doesn't, like these. 1. Stress. 2. Depression. 3. Habits of life, like hard drug abuse. 4. Alcohol. 5. Smoking. 6. Deep-rooted anger. 7. Constant conditioning becoming belief systems. 8, fear of change. 9, low self-worth, and so on. Another example is if you believe that cancer is hereditary and you have evidence of it in your family, in your human family, you also believe that you will create cancer to fulfill those expectations and beliefs which you have placed upon yourself. Your fears in the way you feel and the way in which you behave towards yourself dictates the way in which your human body responds to life in so many ways. Human ego is responsible for creating the degeneration and diseases that infest your human bodies. Ego helps you hold onto past negative emotions and onto your beliefs that you're confused and misguided emotions are your true feelings, and that is so far from the truth. Reality of your existence as a human being, like knowing your heart, is the only true reality of your actual feelings. The rest is only the ego's illusion, which can and does lead to self-delusion.
So how does one become aware?
Becoming aware of your thought patterns is a good place to start. Ask yourself this question: where are my thought patterns coming from? Is it my logical thinking based on my beliefs and conditioning? Or am I just thinking like my mum or dad? Michael, someone once asked me a question. How do I know if my thoughts are coming from my ego's logical thinking or coming from my mind? I answered by saying, ego's logical thinking can only give you what is within its database, being the human brain, that has been dissected by the ego to begin with, whereas the mind, like the heart, is unbiased to all that comes directly from your infinite soul. If you want an answer about any form of disease or anything in reality, ask your heart. It doesn't lie like the ego. But allow yourself to listen to your inner self, which will lead you back to a deeper understanding of why human diseases affect so many worldwide. Awareness is not only listening to your human body and knowing what to feed it, it also means listening to how you are feeling emotionally. As your emotions are only based on the past, but feelings exist in the moment of life. They are spontaneous. When each human being achieves emotional balance, then they will have within their grasp the ability to achieve physical balance. Self-love and self-respect are the ingredients required to nurture a healthy mind and a healthy human body.
Can we as humanity eventually eradicate all diseases?
The reality of that truth, Michael, is human disease should not actually exist, as it is only created at a third-dimensional physical level through negative emotions and self-abuse. All of humanity are far greater than simply a collection of 4 quadrillion cells, which the human body is created from. Your diseases are in reality an unnatural and unnecessary creation that unfortunately seems to have become a part of your life as humans. And yet, if you all open your minds and your hearts, you will see the falseness that surrounds your drug and medical industries. They have become an industry driven by what you call the almighty dollar. And yet again, your diseases can be cured and avoided by simple means. One must ask themselves, with cancer, what actually feeds their cancer cells? There is only one answer: protein. There are many forms of protein, and good protein does exist in fruits and vegetables to some degree, and are extremely acceptable to the human body. All beans and nuts have also a good source of natural protein and is accepted by all forms of life. A product that I began taking back in 1988 was called spirulina tablets or powder, which I must admit was one of the savior of my human body back then. I still have my own personal creation of spirulina mixture that I have every single morning. It gives me a tremendous boost of energy even before I have my intense training. I take the same formula, and being physically 70 years of age, I always have enough energy even after my training, and I have been very fortunate in also recovering very quickly. I have to. I have a 54-month son who keeps me going, that's for sure. Remember this, you are only as so-called old if you believe it. Right throughout my time on this planet Earth, I have never accepted age because there is no such thing. It only exists in your human brain because you have been conditioned to believe it, and that is the total truth.
Then what would be the simple steps, Kuntarkis?
Well, Michael, humanity would have to admit the truth by taking the first step towards healing and recovery, and admitting that human individuals have created an imbalance within their human body. And yes, Michael, it can be a hard road, but no harder than to watch your loved ones fade away because they have been told there is nothing that can be done for them. There is always a solution to any situation, because I have been there myself in 1988. If I would have listened to the so-called experts, this episode would never have come about. I would just be a lost long memory to the ones who knew me. And my son, who is going on 5 years of age, would never have existed. The second step is to find the negative emotion at the root of the situation. And yes, you will need a complete change in lifestyle, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your conditioning, but especially your intake of foods and the practice of meditation. All this will help in the healing process. Meditation is the stillness of your mind and is most important, for through it you will begin to understand that human disease is not caused by physical means alone. Rather, the physical does assist in creating the disorder as your consciousness attempts to communicate with your ego and bring to your attention the negative emotions you are crippling yourselves with.
So what you're saying, human disease is a physical creation?
Yes, Michael, human disease is a physical manifestation created by your human brain from past negative emotions that each of you hold on to. Human beings create disease and a large variety of illnesses for one reason only, and that is through unresolved issues and the emotions that are attached to those specific issues. The root cause of human disease is based on one simple word, like fear of change, deep-rooted anger, trauma from a young child, the hurt child within, and there are so many more. You can begin the healing process by looking at your emotions and by forgiving the past, by forgiving those you believe have wronged you, and also by forgiving yourself for putting yourself through the experience, and change your thoughts and your attitude towards yourself, as well as how you see others.
Yeah, you've always said to me affirmations can be a strong starting point to most situations. Can you just give one for the listeners spontaneously?
Yes, Michael, absolutely. Let me think for a moment. Okay, here's a simple affirmation, if expressed with heart, will be a good starting point in the process of self-forgiveness. Say it as many times as you, the listener, likes, but make sure it comes from the heart. In this moment, I will take personal responsibility for who I am and all that I have created in my life. I now, in this moment, choose to forgive myself in every way, for I know it was simply experiences for me to learn and to move to new ones. I also forgive in every way others who have added to my emotions, and I replace them with unconditional love. And I say in this moment, I truly love who I am, what I am, and where I am going. I am love, I am will. I am all that is and will ever be. I am divinity. Always remember that stress is one of your greatest killers. Learn to slow down by taking moments in your human life for yourself. Learn to meditate and find out who you truly are. Always be kind to yourself and respect your body by consuming good, wholesome food so you are properly nourished, as this in turn will help you think more clearly. Learn to love and accept yourself as you are right now, for love heals all. And when you find the love within yourself, you begin to see the love in everything and everyone. From there, you will learn to trust your inner knowing, which will lead you to an understanding of compassions for all of life. From compassion, you will gain the wisdom to understand the infinite knowledge that exists in all of creation, and the love that is within each of you will expand outwardly in the light of pure bliss. You truly will become the living truth for all others to see as an example of infinite unconditional love. All human beings can achieve this by dissolving their human ego that has been ruling humanity for the last 928,000 years of human evolution. So, Michael, is there any other specific questions you feel you may wish to ask?
Yeah. Well, for example, diabetes. What causes diabetes specifically?
Well, to answer that in simple terms, where a lot of people won't agree, but I also believe human beings are starting to really, really look at what's around them and what they put into their bodies. Human beings have been conditioned to drink milk from a very young age. Now, just a quick example. You say a young calf is born, say to a cow or to a horse or to anything. It only exists on drinking milk from its mother for the first 3 to 4 months. After that, it rarely ever has it again, because it is a natural process that if you have too much calcium, it'll cause you lots of problems. Now, with diabetes, what causes diabetes is too much milk and too much sweets. Sweets are really bad for the human body. The amount of sweet products that we as human beings are consuming is literally killing us. There are more diabetics today on this planet Earth than there has ever been in human history. Young children, before they're even born, have diabetes. By the time they're 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, diabetes. That is not a natural state. We have to look at why we are doing it. Now, a lot of products can cause our bodies to be out of balance. Our bodies are beginning to create too much insulin, and that is not a good thing. It puts our body chemically out of balance. So we need to learn to cut down on the sweets that we are consuming within our bodies.
Well, another one is the obvious one, cancer. What causes cancer?
Again, this could be a very, controversial subject, and also a controversial answer. Naturally, all disease is created by emotion and reinforced by negative thoughts and negative foods that we consume. Emotion puts us into a state of self-worth. It puts us into a depression. So we literally take on habits that ends up causing us disease, and in a lot of cases, death. Now, cancer, there are many forms of cancer. I'll just name a few. Throat cancer, brain cancer, heart cancer, stomach cancer, breast cancer. There are just so many, Michael, you could keep going forever. But the thing is, there is always an emotion attached behind that particular disease. And that's where we have to start. It's not this cutting it out and putting high toxins into our body like radiation. Radiation is an absolute poison. And what it does, it kills everything that's good in our body as well as everything that's bad. And in a lot of cases, it causes us to have other forms of disease. It weakens our immune system to a point of nearly zero. And it takes so long for the immune system to build up because we have to put the right nutrients back into our body to rebuild what has been destroyed. So then we have, say, bowel cancer. Let's give that as an example. Bowel cancer is a cause, and this is going to be a horrible answer for some people, is caused by acidic acid. High protein that's no good for us. Meat ferments within our bowels and causes not just a horrible smell that comes from our body, it ferments and causes constipation. And if the constipation is there long enough and we don't go to the toilet, well, then we're going to have lots and lots of problems. And one of them is the mutations of our own cells, which become cancer cells. Now, what feeds cancer? Protein. And that's the one thing that we shouldn't be having, especially meat protein. It's the worst. And if we learned not to have it, we would find the cancer would die out because there is no protein to feed it.
And like you were saying earlier, the other forms of protein are actually okay, like plant protein, etc.
Plant protein and bean protein don't actually seem to be a problem in their natural state. But if you take isolates, for instance, from soybean, and if it's chemically extracted, if that is the case, then that is a problem. That can cause cancer, cause mutations in your cellular structure, which leads to cancer.
Thank you. What about this one? Why do we grow old so fast?
Because we believe it, Michael.
You keep saying that, yeah.
We believe it. We believe what we have been told from generation, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of generations over the last 928,000 years of human evolution. So we are so highly conditioned without even knowing it. We are living the past over and over and over and over and over again, just different circumstances with new modern technology. But we haven't grown beyond it when it comes to understanding why we grow so old. The factor is, like especially in certain people, which is pretty huge if you look at, we're about 7.8 billion people on the human planet at the moment. Alcohol, excessively bad for us. Smoking, marijuana, excessively bad for us. Drugs of any description breaks down a lot of our immune system and literally leaves us empty and open to other forms of disease. What we need to learn and understand, one important factor is genetic transfer. And that's why I suggested in part of this is to maybe look at genetics and reread it. And it'll give you a deeper understanding to certain factors, why we act the way we do.
Reread it in your book and also listen to it on the podcast.
Yeah, the Book of Knowledge, I Am Alien, would be a great book for anyone to actually grasp because it's got so much information in it. But one of the factors we do grow old also is because we've been doing it for 928,000 years, from parent to child, and then to parent to child, and so on and so on and so on. It's conditioned within our genetics that we grow old and we live anything from say 50, 55 to 90 or maybe even 100 if we're so lucky. That we grow old, we get wrinkled, we lose our hair because we believe it, and also through our genetics. I believe, and I mean this 100%, we only grow old because we believe we have to, because we have been told. And that's the sad case. Never live to a birthday. Never live to time. Live to the moment, and your life will slow down. And this is a cliche. And you'll start to smell the roses. And you'll start to open your eyes to the beautiful surroundings that you have, instead of just passing it by. And before you know it, you're 65 and you don't care anymore. But that is changing. But there's a lot that aren't.
Makes me think of finding your heart.
Absolutely, Michael. Come back to the heart. Every human being, every life form, when it comes to being a thought conscious being, needs the first lesson in life is to teach our children how to know your heart, because that's where real truth comes from, not logic, not ego.
Sure. Well, the next one I wanted to ask is about eye issues. Why do we have eye issues?
Well, it's similar to the reason humanity grows so old so fast. I have heard so many people say this, and it's really disgusting when you think about it. They believe by the time they're 40, the condition is that their eyes start to fail. They believe it. And you know the sad part? We don't realize that our immune system is so low. And there are so many people walking around every moment of their life and they're not well. But they still struggle through life because they think that's what it is. And it's the same people with eye issues. They believe, oh, I'm getting old, so my eyes are getting bad, and as I get older, they get worse and I'll have to wear glasses. Well, I admit, at my 70 physical years of age, I do wear a little pair of $5 reading glasses, depending on the light. If the light outside during the day is fine, I can read perfectly on a book or anything. But if the light is faded or it's a yellow light, I find it a bit difficult. So I put a pair of these little $5 glasses on. It's perfect. But I train my eyes every time I train. When I use this vibrating machine that I stand on and do all these isometrics, I also do 10 different exercises for my neck and my eyes at the same time. It's just a regular thing that I do. And I must admit, my eyes get tired because I'm on the computer working on my books. But I do my eye exercises before I go to bed. So when I wake up, my eyes feel fine. But you know, most people suffer that anyway. But don't ever believe that your eyes are going to fail you after you turn 40. If you believe that, and you believe the rubbish that people tell you, then that's what will happen, because your consciousness will give you exactly what you're feeling in your emotions. So don't do it. Don't do it. But there are products, natural products that you can get that will actually help. And I think it's bilberries. Bilberries are brilliant. And especially if you're on the computers a lot. And there are other products out now for eyes with blue light, because blue light comes off computers or from what do they call it, fluorescent lighting or the screen. So look after your eyes and find out what is healthy to take for your eyes. Now, there are a lot of foods, natural foods like vegetables and fruits, especially fruits, that you can have that actually do help the eyes. And one of the most common things, and it's been going around for the last probably 250 to 300 years on this planet, eat a carrot every day. Not a big one, but just eat a carrot, a fresh carrot, not boiled, not steamed, not fried, fresh. And try to buy carrots that are organic. I know they're more expensive, but they do not have the pesticides that a lot of other ones do. And they're maybe not as old either. and have a small carrot every day, and you might find that your eyes are much better. But also, don't forget, what you think, you become. And if you believe your eyes are faltering and you keep thinking it, then that will be your reality. Change it and say this: yes, my eyes are tired, but there's reasons for it, but I have perfect vision. And say that so many times a day, you'd be surprised what will occur.
Wow, thank you. I wanted to also ask, what about just general body pains? Why do we have body pains?
Well, this is going to be a good one, Michael. I'm glad you asked that. First of all, we're conditioned to believe, again, that when we reach a certain age, we're going to have all these body pains. We'll become stiff, won't be able to stride like we used to, won't be able to stretch because we'll be so stiff in our bodies. And partially, that's the truth. This is the reason why. All the toxins that we breathe in and consume, and from the first moment we take our first breath, is filling our body. And by the time we're 40 or 50, we feel heavy. And when we jump up and we land, it's like a massive thump, like an elephant landing. And we ask ourselves, oh my God, I've got no buoyancy. I feel as if I've just got bricks in my feet. That's because your legs are filling up with metal and toxins, and they're not being eliminated. We have to eliminate what is flowing through our blood, because everything flows through our blood. Our blood is our life force. It's living consciousness. It's what goes to every part of our body to make our body function the way we wish it to. I mean, I get on my walker and I walk like at 7 Ks and I end up doing, say, between 6 and 8 kilometers, and I'm just pouring out sweat. But I keep my mindset and I use my imagination to fly, to do whatever I want to do. And it pushes me. And after I finish, I'm still full of energy. I'll go and train on my bouncer and I'll bounce for an hour and a half solid to fast music. And I love it. And I still got all this energy. I don't stretch as I used to, but I'm still so very flexible because I don't have the toxins and the metals in my body, especially the lower part of my feet, where it all seems to flow down and stick there and not come out and get eliminated. The weight of you through the day, you have this force weighing down on you that holds everything down. It's like an energy pushing on the top of your head, holding you down. What we need to do is be more active, like jump every day a few times. And the more we do it, the easier it becomes. And if we stretch for just 5 minutes a day and do it properly after we do some exercise or a hard day's work, I promise you, you'll feel better in the morning. Now, going back to my so-called younger days when I was about 25, I used to train really hard, martial arts, and I must admit I was very good at it. And I found the next day or the day after, I always suffered pains in my legs. And I could never work out why. It's what I was consuming. And it was filling my body with toxins, and I wasn't getting rid of it. When I started, after I got sick in 1988, I changed my whole diet. I had nothing but liquids for nearly 11 months. I made my own brew. I included spirulina and the powder. And within 4 months of that, I was already feeling much better than I was, and my body was becoming more flexible. So I was cleaning out the garbage, and that's what we need to do. As we get older, we need to find products that actually help clean our bodies out. Now, what I'm about to say, well, actually, I'll wait till you ask the next question, Michael, because that will tie in, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, sure. Well, I was going to ask about heaviness in the body as we get older.
Okay. The body pains and the heaviness in the body as we get older will actually tie in with this. I discovered a product probably about 15 years ago. And it's called, I'm just trying to think of the name. Isn't that terrible when you suddenly have a block and you can't think of the name? It's a black powder.
Charcoal.
Thank you so much. Yeah, charcoal, right? Charcoal. This is called activated charcoal. And I came across it by accident. So I read all about it, and I read about the doctor that found it in some Eastern country, and how he stood on stage in I think it was 1810 or 1820, I'm not sure exactly. And he had a large audience in a theatre, and he took, what's that product you give rat poison? Cyanide, that's it. He took a dose of cyanide that would normally kill a person. And as soon as he took it, everyone just said, oh my God. He drank a large glass of water with activated charcoal. And he guzzled it down, and then he drank another glass of water after it. They kept an eye on him. He never got sick. He never felt a pain, a heaviness, a headache, anything. And what's interesting about activated charcoal, it's black, all right. I tell you that now. When you drink it, oh my God, it's black. It literally goes through your stomach, cleans your stomach out of any foreign metals or little substances that shouldn't be there. It clings to the powder. And then, as it goes through your blood, it helps clean out even cholesterol from your veins and arteries. And it goes right throughout your entire body and cleans everything out. So when you go to the toilet, it cleans you out. That I can guarantee. Now, I've been taking this charcoal over the 15 years, and every so often, probably every 6 months, I go on it for about 2 weeks. Each night, I have it before I go to bed. Doesn't do anything to me. It's a proven fact. Just read up on it. Find out how it would affect you, and it won't. And I feel so much lighter in my body because it literally attracts metal and eliminates it. So that's a really good thing, body, about heaviness in the body as we get older. It's all to do with metals and toxins that we have breathed in and consumed over a long period of time. And also, as we get older, we don't do the exercise that we used to when we're younger. And we need to do a bit more exercise. Even walking's brilliant. And we need to do a little bit more stretching and change our diets.
Yeah, just so people understand as well, like the cyanide, don't just take it at the same time as your healthy tablets, because the healthy tablets will just be
absolutely
cancelled out. Yeah.
Eliminated.
Yeah. So my next question is about stiffness when we get older.
Well, that's probably pretty well the same question. Yeah. I didn't realize here and say heaviness in the body as we get older, body pains. Well, stiffness is because, again, we do not do what we did when we were younger. There's a lot of people out there. In fact, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of millions worldwide that, do such heavy sports throughout their life. Doesn't matter what it is. And they do all these sports. And as they get a bit older, they suddenly start to give it up, and they end up becoming responsible for a family, and they do their work every day, and they don't exercise, they don't stretch, And as they get older and older and older, they get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. And that's why we need to take the realization that if we keep doing our exercise and our stretches, change our diet to more, say, nutritional foods and natural foods, I promise you, you'll start to feel better. And that's for sure. Because, as I said, I'm so-called physically 70 and I feel better.
Yeah, you feel better than when you were half your age.
Absolutely.
Wow. I guess it ties in with muscle deterioration.
Well, there's another one too. Muscle deterioration, again, is the same thing. I've noticed with a lot of people that used to come to me all the time and they would talk about, I've lost my strength. I'm not as strong as I used to be. So what I do is I ask some simple questions. I say, when you were in your, say, 20s to your 30s, did you do a lot of exercise? Most would say, yes, I was a bricklayer, I was this, I played a lot of sports, I surfed. I said, okay, when you're in your 30s to your 40s, were you doing the same? Oh, I was till about 35, but then I sort of slacked down and, family and running around all the time and work changed and I was sort of in a blue tie and working in an office all the time, sitting down, so I never really got the time to do anything. Well, what happens? When you don't use your muscles over a period of time, your muscles degenerate. Your body literally eats your muscle tissue. And I've seen so many people in the elderly that do not exercise their arms, especially. And their arms literally become skin and bone. We, as a human being, need, no matter how old we become, we need to exercise to the best of our abilities to make ourselves feel better and to keep our muscle structure. So if we fall, we don't hurt ourselves as much. But when we lose muscle structure and we fall on our arm, like our hand, it is so easy to snap your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, and just hit your head. My mother's 94 and she's in a nursing home and she's feeling like now she can't really walk around anymore. She did about 12 months ago, but no more. That's my human mother. And she's now sort of getting around in a wheelchair because she has no muscle structure in her arms at all. They've deteriorated to a point of nearly nothing. And there's no strength there. You touch her arms with a little bit of a grip and it hurts because everything's been eaten away and there's just open nerves, no nerves within the muscle tissue. And that's why.
Wow, sounds great.
Yeah, good thing to look forward to.
Yeah, well, taking your advice then is a good thing to get physically active. There is something about how easy it is for us with our muscles up until around 40, and then after then something like you have to work harder to maintain the same amount of muscle.
Well, one of the good things, Michael, that I discovered is I've never believed in weights because I know weights over continuous use do damage joints in your body. I've known a few bodybuilders and they all suffered it. Over a period of time, they all suffered from lifting really heavy weights in all their joints, their wrists, their elbows, their shoulders, their ankles, their knees, their hips. And it's caused them so much stiffness and heaviness in the body and even muscle deterioration once they stopped. That's one of the big problems. Where I've actually developed, it's not that I developed it personally, but I've developed a certain formula to isometrics for the entire body. And I practice that very regularly. And in my own body, my arms are very strong. And I have pretty good quickness for a person that's supposed to be physically 70. So the saying that we deteriorate is only because we allow it. We have to use our mind, not our logic, because the ego will say to you, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. Over a period of time, you listen, and then you start not to do it anymore. But if you use your mind, which is your will, you push yourself and you start to feel better. When the body and the mind is healthy, they work in union.
Excellent, thanks. Well, I'll just ask you one more. It's the big one. Constipation. Why?
Well, constipation, Michael, is the biggest factor in humanity. There are the number of people that are constipated on a regular basis is pretty horrendous. A lot of people believe by eating meat, it has fiber. And fiber is what helps one go to the toilet. Now, there's two things at play here. There is no fiber in meat. There is protein, but it's secondhand. There is a lot of diseases in meat, and that is affecting humanity badly. There is a lot of antibiotics in meat to try and kill the bacteria. There is a lot of synthetic hormones in meat, which is changing the genetic structure of human beings in a negative way, which is not good. When you take a product in like meat into your human body, it takes up to 30 to 60 hours for it to digest. It uses so much energy and digestive juices. Once it goes into the bowels, it ferments. It causes constipation on another level. It's called emotion. When you are feeling negatively emotional about something, it makes you feel uptight, which causes constipation, because it's like saying, I won't let go of the old. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give in. And that's what people are really doing. There are people who don't go to the toilet every 3 weeks, which is just incredible. So constipation is caused by what is being consumed because it's unnatural. We're taught to believe that meat is natural and we should be eating it to get our protein. And yet we feed animals the highest form, well, one of the highest forms, soybeans. One of the most gifted beings on this planet. What it gives us is a beautiful natural protein along with a variety of other nutrients. And that's the sad part. Now, I haven't suffered constipation for probably 40 something years, even probably longer. But I do know emotions play a very big part in so many people when it comes to being constipated. But it's also what they eat and what they're feeling emotionally. And the biggest factor is not drinking pure water. And that is something that is so needed. More water, at least 2 liters a day, if not a bit more. And that's not including coffee and tea or soft drinks. We drink so much soft drink, and it's so bad for us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Kuntarkis. That was an excellent episode. Have you got any final words before we close this?
Final words. Do you know what I believe, Michael? I believe in my heart, my soul, that we are infinite in so many ways. And what really saddens me when I look back at the entirety of human history, that we can do such horrible things to our brothers and sisters. What we don't realize, it's just our insecurities. And every time there's a war in another generation, I mean, take example, all the men, mainly men who died, but women too, who died in the First World War, are reincarnated. And many have gone to the Second World War or the Vietnam War. We cannot kill without consequences, without karma, negative karma placed upon us. And we should never kill because some idiot told us to. We need to think from the heart for ourselves and realize that when we kill each other and kill innocent animals that have feelings and heart and cry when we take away their young, we realize that they are also a being, not lesser than us. They just don't have thought consciousness in evolution. So we should be thinking at a higher level of understanding. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with what you said. Yeah. Well, this brings to a close the episode on human disease. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to comment or ask a question or for any reason contact us, simply email kuntarkis@gmail.com. If you'd like to find out more about Kuntarkis, go to his website, etcconsciousness.com. All right, my name is Michael Yon. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for more.